Hey, everybody, welcome back to Mike and the Doc. I'm Mike.
And I'm the doc. And today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to, our producer, Trevor's going to ask us some questions that we have no idea about. And he's going to totally railroad us.
I'm going to try to stump you guys. Yeah, I'm going to try to stump you guys today, so we'll see how it goes.
We can cut out the where I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
I'm leaving it all in.
We're frozen. Yeah.
All right, Mike, we're starting with you.
Oh,
The first victim.
sweating a little bit.
First blood.
First blood.
All right, Mark Cuban said, if you take out a loan to start a business, you're a moron. Do you agree with this, and why or why not?
Good question. And Mark Cuban, a great businessman. I've always I've studied him and kind of listened to things that come out. So I think you don't want to take a loan unless you have to. I've never been a fan of taking loans. You have to pay it back, and maybe you'll be able to pay it back. I agree with Mr. Cuban. I think that's good advice.
All right, Ali, you're up next.
All right.
Is it normal to pee a little when I sneeze or laugh too hard?
Well, I guess, are you a girl? Are you a boy? Have you had kids? No kids?
They did not specify.
Okay. If you're laughing, what that does is when you laugh, it increases your intra-abdominal pressure. And yeah, you can pee a little. It's more common in females, especially after they've given birth. And I think it's just more common in females overall. So if you are a woman and you've given birth to 5 children and you hear the funniest joke ever and you're belly laughing, yeah, you might leak a little bit. It's okay. Now, if you're a guy and you're 20 and you have a tiny funny joke, it's not super funny, and you laugh and you pee yourself entirely, that's abnormal.
All right, Mike, follow up from the last question. You started a business, you're successful, it's time to expand. Is there ever a time to take out a loan to grow the business versus starting a business? Like, would you advise somebody to take a loan to continue to seek growth in an already successful business, or do you still stand, don't take a loan no matter what?
Good question, and we're kind of at this point in the business, a lot of expansion, and I still don't want to take a loan unless I have to. I haven't personally. I think maybe if you talk to people who have went that route, and what I've heard myself is if you're going with mass expansion, like right now we're just in Las Vegas, but if we were going to go across the entire country, I obviously couldn't use my own money. I don't believe. So you would have to. So I think if you're going on a mass scale, international, national, or maybe you're going to be expanding into something else. Like right now we do healthcare. Maybe we were going to get into software. You may have to raise money. So I think the answer is yes. If you're going to go into something that you don't have the capital for, then you're definitely going to have to seek out loans or investments.
All right, Doc. What was the most seemingly routine visit you had from a patient that turned out to be something serious?
I had a patient who came in with stroke-like symptoms, okay? And so part of our workup is to get an MRI. And so I said, okay, Mr. So-and-so, you came in with these symptoms, whether it was visual problems with moving one arm versus the other, things that would suggest a stroke. And so our typical workup for this is includes an MRI of the brain. And so this gentleman said to me, because I did a neuro exam on him, I did my neuro assessment on him. He's like, well, you need to take a look, right around he was pointing towards his pelvic area. And I was like, that has nothing to do with a stroke. Okay. So I found out later, it's like, no, you really need to look. And I go, sir, I'm not going to examine your area because that's not relevant to a stroke. And so later I found out that he had like his junk in like this device that is metal as part of his S&M or whatever. Yeah. It was, and so like he was right. He didn't like if you go in the MRI machine and there's this metal stuff on your junk, it's possible that the magnet is going to pull the metal out. So if it's attached to his junk, it would have pulled the metal out. Pretty crazy. So that was
Wow.
so he came in for what seemed like just like a routine stroke workup and a young person, young guy. And then it ended up being that we had to call his partner who had the key to this cage of his junk. Yeah, she came in. She was wearing leathers that day.
Did he have a stroke?
No, but I almost did after seeing this guy.
Only in Vegas.
I know. Oh, there's so many.
All right, Mike. Was Connolly Care your first business? If so, how did you make it work on the first try? And if not, can you share a story of a business that you started that didn't succeed and what made you try again?
This was my first business creating. I remember I think I was 31 years old when we created the company. And I just didn't have fail in my mind at all. It was this has to happen in order to pay for my mortgage or the house that I lived in, to pay to eat. So everything was on the line, which I recommend. I recommend going all in. Otherwise, you won't bring it at that level. And so that's a great question, and that right there, I think, separates why a lot of people open a business and why people don't go for it. And my to that, there's nothing. Actually have a little bit of chills.
Yeah, I saw that.
There's nothing more powerful than just going for it. And I think the reason they don't go for it is the view of the public, right? I'm going to fail. I'm a failure. And who cares, right? And a lot of people, many entrepreneurs, I think they fail multiple times before they hit that home run. And I was fortunate. I came from the sales field, so I kind of dove in with the business coming in. So that helped me. I had people that followed me, but it was still a huge risk. But being the age I was, if I failed, I still had some life left to do it. So my overall, the message I want to say is go for it.
All right, Doc. How many organs can your body live without and still function properly?
Okay, I'll try to make this broad strokes. You cannot live without your brain. You cannot live without your heart, although you can get it transplanted. You cannot live without your lungs, although you can have parts of one lung gone, and you can get your lungs transplanted. So you can live with like part of one lung and part of another lung gone. Your liver, you can have parts of your liver. Oh, the liver is awesome. Okay. The liver is probably one of my favorites. Basically, you can cut a chunk out of the liver, it'll grow back. Okay. The liver is also I know this is off topic, but it's so awesome, and I have to say why. It will sacrifice itself to save the body.
Oh,
So you can go into liver failure. Let's just say, like I'm the owner of my liver, right? So I'm the owner of my liver and I decide to take too much Tylenol. I'm suicidal or whatever, and I take too much Tylenol. Your liver will go into liver failure trying to protect you from all the toxic metabolites of Tylenol. Okay, so I love the liver. Okay, next is colon. You can live without your colon. A lot of your colon, your large colon, because your large colon is just really involved in reabsorbing water. Your small bowel, you can only have a certain portion. Like if you did not have your small bowel, you would absorb no nutrients and you would die.
All right, Mike. What is the single most difficult thing in running a business that you did not expect before owning the business?
well, for me, it's always got to be the operations.
I was going to say it's dealing with docs. They're
Well,
all a-holes. No, I'm just
The doc,
Oh, and for you that don't know, Dr. Ali works for Mike.
yes, works with independent contractors.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
Yeah, I work for him.
The one thing is you don't, doctors don't work for you. They're in their own, just let them be. Yeah. I number one, I love the business that I'm in. You know, I do love working with doctors and nurses, and I just love the medical environment. So the most challenging though is managing a sea of nurses, a sea of people. I think any business that you got in, if you're in the factory or automobile industry, it's as you grow, no matter the business, you're going to have to add people. And if you get very successful, you're going to have tons of people. And then with a lot of people come a lot of rules and regulations and laws. So I think you just, as you grow like that, you need to be very surgical and careful to always be checking in with your attorney, your accountants, just your team. And that's what I really enjoy, is building a big team and just kind of growing together.
All right, Doc. How bad is it really to hold in a poop for too long?
You can hold in a poop for quite a long time. I don't recommend it. What you can't actually, in all seriousness, we do see patients in the hospital. As we get older, we're not, we get constipated, the whole thing about prune juice and all this. I think I'm getting there too, because I'll tell you what, when I wake up, I want to have my coffee and I want to go. And I tell you, infinitely, maybe because I'm an old man, infinitely my day is better once I've gone to the bathroom. Infinitely. I'm almost like I don't even want to start until I've gone. But sorry, so coming back to, if you hold in a poop for too long, what can happen is you can hold in, there are some guys that I've met that have held in poops for like 7-8 days. They're on narcotics, for example, and they get this narcotic-induced constipation. And what happens, real truthfully, they see this at the nursing home, is you can get what's called a bowel perforation, where, so if you have, let's just say this is the hose that's your colon. If there's a piece of poop in there, what happens is the colon is still going, right? It's still peristalsing, it's still moving stuff. And what happens is everything gets behind the poop until this part of the bowel gets so big that it eventually pops. That's called a bowel perforation, and that can kill you. So much so that when you send somebody to a nursing home, because this happened a lot in nursing homes won't even accept a patient until they've known that they've had a bowel movement prior.
All right, Mike.
Yeah.
How do you identify a need that you then can provide a service for to make a business work when starting a business? I guess in your case, how did you identify that there was a need for in-home healthcare?
Well, I think that's a great question. And I think for any person starting a business, that's step one. You need to identify a need, something that has a need that you can provide the service to or the product to. For us, it's easy, right? Kind of fortunate that people are always going to be sick. We treat the elderly, so people are growing older and older and still need care. Plus, it was the industry I was in. Funny quick story, I was going to actually leave the industry and go open up some hair salons. I actually talked with Fantastic Sam's.
Really?
Yeah, I was right
I didn't
there.
know that. That's cool.
Yeah, I was a little burnt out and
Medical can do that to you.
yeah, just kind of looking for something different. But I said, the bread and butter or what I've built is right here. So I went with that. Will Dr. Ali and I open up some Fantastic Sam's down the road? Who knows? Maybe we'll open up some hot dog stands.
That'd be
But
so fun.
and even that is, people need a nice haircut, right? They want to look and feel good, and people need to eat hot dogs.
Natural versus pharmaceuticals, which is better and why?
Great question. I'm a big fan of, I'm a fan of both. I would say maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, I would say, no, it's all natural or nothing. There are a lot of natural things out there that work great for you. I'm all about natural immunity. If you caught one of our episodes on immunity to a disease, your own immune response is much better than anything you could get from, like, for example, a vaccine. But there are natural things that are toxic, like cocaine is natural. It comes from a plant. So I like natural things for the most part. I like the one thing I will say is when you do a drug, and again, I'm not pro drug company, but when you have a drug, it has to go through so many different phases. So if you're doing natural, let's just say you want to do over-the-counter vitamins, right? Those are not tested as stringently as, say, like Viagra, right? Like Viagra had to go through a lot of steps to get to market. That being said, when you take something natural, it automatically comes like it's been tested through many, many years, right? So let me give an example. Like I take turmeric, right? So turmeric they use in a lot of East Indian food. And for some reason it got through. Like people really liked using it. Maybe they liked the taste. Maybe because of it's an anti-inflammatory, people were passing away less from it. I don't know. But natural things or natural supplements, they're not as regulated as heavily as the other stuff. But if it comes down to it, if I'm in the ER and you need to either speed my heart up, slow my heart down, or for that matter, bring my sugar down, you give me the pig insulin, you give me the atropine, or you give me, I don't know, amiodarone. Like the drugs have been tried and tested, but we should try for the most part, you don't want to just use a med for everything. You want to see if you can deal with it on your own and then just check things. Like, for example, I check on my labs, right? So like I check my cholesterol. I check my, my visceral fat, like how are you going to know if the diet that you're on is working if you don't check your visceral fat? How are you going to know whether your diet is good for your cholesterol or is making your cholesterol really high? You won't know until you check. So I'm all about checking it, making a change. Checking it, making a change.
All right, Mike, how do you stand out amongst competitors in a saturated market?
Another good question.
Yeah, these are whammies.
Well, I think rapid response is a big one. I think a lot of the larger corporations, it has to go up the ladder and a lot of decisions have to be made. So early on as a mom and pop company, just the fact that you answer right away, and we're kind of going through that with our new hospice expansion.
Yeah, and I thought we attacked that really well. We had somebody who, I don't know what ended up happening, but we had somebody, it's Cinco de Mayo, right? So like Cinco de Mayo weekend,
Right.
Friday night. That's, of course, when you're going to get the consult. It's got to be seen right away. And I think we handled that really well.
Yes. Yeah, in our industry and especially at the doctor level, it's just that rapid response, getting the patient seen right away. So I think that's big.
So it all kind of comes down to service. As long as you're servicing
What was the question again?
how do you stand out amongst competitors?
Yeah.
Okay.
And service, quick service.
Yep. Yeah, quick service. And then the other thing I wanted to say is I believe it's your team. And early on, it's tough to have the Yankees, right, or the Eagles on your team. Obviously, the more money you make, your team's going to probably get better.
Right.
But you do have some, like the Dr. Ali's, like some of our other doctors who they kind of get, I think, pumped up on helping us start up.
Yeah.
So you can get some of those big timers to carry the torch early on because it's a challenge, right? It's easy to get on the Yankees and win a championship, but to get on the expansion team, right? Like kind of when Fleury came to the Knights and they ended up getting to the title. So I think your team is number two. I think number one, rapid response, just be ready to go. And number two would be kind of just getting that heavy hitter early on that wants to be part of a startup.
Should I get a vasectomy or should my wife get a tubal ligation?
And is that the tie in the tubes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I just
can-
wanted to sound smart.
Yeah.
no, you're good. You're good.
I had to Google it too.
I think that I'll tell you what I did. This is really personal. So my wife used a patch for the majority of the time that we dated. Okay, so when you use an estrogen patch or whatever patch, you are basically. I didn't know this, but her risk of developing a clot on that patch is higher than if she was not on a patch. Okay. So she did that when we first met each other. And then,
what was the patch for? Like birth control?
It's birth control, yeah.
okay.
So it's like, oh, right. So a patch, a young lady can put on a patch. And then what that does is you can wear that for like, I don't know, I think it's a week or something. It's been so long that she's been on it, but like a week or something. And then you take it off or you have it off. I think you wear it for 1 week, every week. And then on your 4th week, you take it off. Okay. And then that's when you typically have your period. But she wore the patch. And so then we had our 3 children. Obviously, when we were trying, we took it off. And then after that, she continued to wear the patch after we had our kids. And then afterwards, she said, okay, well, I don't want to put the patch back on. And I've been doing this for so long, so it's your turn to get the vasectomy. So that's why. I mean, what can you really say to that, right? Now, as far as if it's like a couple that's met and they're just, I don't know. That's a really great question because definitely a vasectomy, both are pretty invasive, right?
I was going to ask, can you talk to the vasectomy? Is it as painful as we all?
Well, I don't know if we got to this in one of our episodes. I
believe.
had it right before I ran the marathon. Remember that?
Oh, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
think I remember that.
So basically, my son had the meconium aspiration, and then I said he got through that, thank God. And I was like, I am never having children again. I do not want to go through this turmoil again. Right. And then I ran the marathon, and a week before the marathon, I got my vasectomy.
Wow.
It wasn't terrible.
I knew you were tough.
So to tie it all together from a medical standpoint, is one of the operations safer than the other one? Less invasive or?
No, vasectomy was just in the urologist office. It's just local anesthetic. I mean, don't get me wrong. No guy is like, oh yeah, with local anesthetic still needs to be put in with a needle. So when you have somebody with a needle coming at your junk, no one loves that. But it wasn't super painful. Whereas a tubal ligation is like a full-on procedure. I guess I would say as a guy, I would just say, listen, guys, they're both kind of irreversible. So this is not for somebody who's newly dating. But if you've had your children or if you've decided that you don't want children, then I think guys, just because I'm a guy, I would say guys, I would just get the vasectomy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. I think people want to know that.
The guys will be like, no.
Can you be put under for the vasectomy?
I don't know.
Okay, that's what I would want.
Yeah.
I can't handle that. They're coming at you with the needle. I don't know if I could do that.
There's a needle-less one.
Needle-less.
Yeah. I actually asked him about
Like an
that.
EpiPen?
But they still cut, right? They still would cut.
I would have to look it up, but it's basically something where they anesthetize you, and there's not like the needle stick. It was not bad at all.
Okay,
Not bad at
that's good to hear.
all. Have you ever gotten a vasectomy?
I haven't yet.
But you don't have all your kids yet.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, you keep rolling.
And I'll still negotiate. I can maybe get out of it.
All right, Mike. Was there ever a time in Connolly Care's history that you thought this might not work? And if there was, how did you push through it and come out on top?
I don't ever think to myself it's not going to work. I always have. Well, number one, now we have such a large team that I'm not going to let the team down. We have a lot of people that plan on our success, plan on that weekly paycheck. So as the business owner too, I always say you pay everybody else, and then whatever's left over, you pay yourself. So if you didn't have anything left over, you're not getting paid. You're always going to pay your team. And then again, if there's something left over, or sometimes there's not, especially early on. And I've seen that too. What I did, you take a very small salary, because what do you need the salary for early on? We're trying to grow the company. So I've seen, I think Jeff Bezos, his salary was like $80,000 or $60,000.
Wow.
Up until years later, 10 years.
Wow.
And are they making money other ways? Probably. But that salary, why do you need all this money now? We're trying to grow a successful company. Yeah. So the answer is yes, I'm nervous often, especially when we're expanding. There's never been a point where once I make the conscious decision to go for expansion, and I talk with my team, and we have a team that's going to go for it, we have to win.
Here's a spicy one, Doc.
All right.
Oh,
Spice away.
Spicier than last.
Can you really lose your sight by masturbating too much?
Oh boy.
No. Masturbate away. Not that I know of. I can't think of the mechanism where.
From a medical standpoint, is there ever a time where it's too much?
You can masturbate too much if, for example, these would be the criteria in all seriousness. If you're masturbating and it prevents you from going to work, or if it prevents you from having time with your loved ones, then yes, you're masturbating too much. Or, for example, if you masturbate instead of having intercourse with your partner, I don't recommend that. I mean, I'm kind of getting into a lot of stuff here, but during is fine. But if you're going to masturbate and not have relations with your wife or your husband, then that could cause problems with the relationship. If you're masturbating and you're late for work, that's going to be an issue. Or if you're masturbating, I'm just talking about from a guy's perspective. If you're masturbating and there's like chafing or problems with like the skin becoming raw or your junk becoming raw, then you either got to pick a new lubricant or you gotta like let it kind of relax a little.
Breathe.
Let it breathe. Let it reaccumulate.
Oh boy.
Funny.
I think Joe Rogan has a quote that said, "Masturbate before you make any big decisions."
It probably relaxes you, but then another thing that I've heard of is in order to keep you focused, right? Because if you think about it, when you are focused on getting the girl or whatever it is, you're focused, right? Like, I need to do this job efficiently so that I can go home and masturbate, right? That might focus you. Whereas after you've masturbated, you're all just like, whatever. Like, am I going to spend $100,000 on this? Or I might lose it. I might win it. I don't care. I've just had an orgasm, so I'm good.
All right, Mike, what was your biggest "what the was I thinking" moment you had while growing your business?
Well, there was one point when we were down to just a couple $1,000s. I think we started with like 250,000, and we were waiting on our billing to begin. And I just remember, showing the account to one of the leaders in the company, and they're like, "Oh wow!" And so I was going to obviously have to go talk to the bank or do something. And it was funny, at that time, I went over to the senator's office. And I don't know what had been going on, but in talking to them the next day, it was turned on, and we never have looked back. So that was definitely like, what the? And I'm going to have to go figure something out. I mean, I wasn't going to quit, right? There's a lot of avenues. But that was the most nail-biting time in the company's history. And that was like our first year. Yeah.
So you mean you were down to your last couple $1,000s, and then you just had to flip the billing and the deposits started coming in?
Yeah, it came in as soon as they flipped the billing. It was like that week, because we were missing a chunk. So we got the chunk, and the ball game went back on.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of other nail biting situations, but nothing with the lifeblood of the company.
All right, Ollie, last question for you.
Okay.
What was the most what the moment you've had with a patient?
Wow.
There's so many. Okay. So, okay, I got one.
Sit up just a little bit. You're
sorry.
There you go.
The one that I would say is there was probably like a type A guy, right? And he came in
What do you mean by type A?
like just like really like clean cut, looked like he's always on time, like a type A personality, always on time, always doing, always on time to work, crosses all of his T's, dots all of his I's. And he came in and he said he had abdominal pain. Okay. So we did a CAT scan on him, and he had like a bottle that he had stuck up his butt. Okay. And so so he was selling, so we saw it on X-ray and certainly on CT. So he was like, where did you train? And I was like, what the, like maybe it doesn't matter where I train. Maybe you shouldn't stick things up your butt. Yeah. Like let's not throw stones. Okay. Maybe I didn't train at John Hopkins, but I'm not in here with a bottle in my butt. You know what I'm saying?
He could have taken the doctor that was out on the pavement. Like anyone.
Maybe you're a little too uppity, but you understand that you have something lodged in your ass. Maybe you shouldn't be making maybe don't make some snap judgment calls.
What was the conclusion of that? Did you see this procedure through for the guy?
Oh, well, I'm not a surgeon, but
It required surgery.
oh yeah, he had to have surgery. Like,
Wow.
try not to. Here's a service announcement. Don't stick things in your butt. Okay?
I have to know what material was the bottle and how large was the bottle?
It was a glass bottle. It was a beer bottle.
Wow.
Yeah. So to your point, like, and somebody's got to be curious about this, right? If it can go in, well, then it can come back out, right?
Thank
so they
God.
obviously
Thank
tried
God.
with like a scope and all this, but if it's too far in, then it's hard to get out sometimes. Sometimes you got to remove it surgically.
Wow.
Oh yeah, there's so much stuff that's stuck up there. Oh my God, man. I don't know why people are like, yeah, we don't have luggage. But I have luggage. I have a place I can store stuff.
Oh boy. I thought it's
There's like
supposed
a
to.
fanny pack, and then there's an ass pack.
Oh man.
All right, guys.
Speechless.
That ties up the episode.
That was a
Sweet.
great closer. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the format.
Yeah, let us know your burning medical or business questions. Drop it in the comments for a chance to be featured in our next episode.